All right, welcome back. More G.I. Joe Classified on Figurama by enemyzero Studio. And today we're talking about the Trouble Bubble, the Cobra Flight Pod, and Tele-Viper. So Tele-Viper is one of those classic Cobras that was in the show all the time.
I've launched flight pods. Cobra's flight pods are on the attack. Look out, Dose! Cobra's fighting back.
Cobra's got the formula. Cobra! The Mirage!
He was almost always the pilot of a Trouble Bubble, the Cobra Flight Pod. And the Trouble Bubble, to me, is one of those, classic signature G.I. Joe vehicles. Like, it's one of those vehicles. I never owned one as a kid. I always wanted one because I always saw it in the cartoon, even especially in the movie too. It's in the, the opening of the movie. And it's really one of those signature Cobra vehicles. So I'm, again, like a lot of the other classified stuff that I didn't have when I was a kid, I'm glad to finally have it. This is obviously the Python Patrol version right here. This is the Target exclusive Python Patrol version. I would have rather had the original version with the purple Tele-Viper, to be quite honest with you. And I hate buying through Pulse. I just hate doing it. So I never bought it. So I missed him a chance, and it never went back in stock or anything like that. And then this went on the shelf, and I definitely wasn't going to get it at first, but I did find this on sale. Eventually it was on clearance at Target. I think I paid maybe $24 for it. So again, at $24, it's a no-brainer. Of course I'll get it, even though this is not the ideal version that I want personally for my collection, but I'm me, you're you. I don't know, maybe you love this version. So the Trouble Bubble first came out in Series 4 in 1985. And like I said before, didn't have one when I was a kid. The original version, it was quite a lot different than this. It was gray with a clear shield up here. There was some dark accents, some red markings and stuff like that. But it was definitely quite different than this. The weird thing about this is the Trouble Bubble actually had no Python Patrol version at all in the original Real American Hero line. It had the original one that was in 1985, Series 4. And then there was some other versions along the years that were just different colors. They were different designs, different styles. There was a black and gray camo one. There was an off-white version. There was a blue version, and then there was a, quote, city version with a red windshield, but there was no Python Patrol one. And now a lot of people might not know this, but the original Flight Pod Trouble Bubble actually did not come with a figure. I know Tele-Viper is sort of known for riding the Trouble Bubbles, but that's just from the cartoon. And the original box for the original Trouble Bubble actually did have a Tele-Viper in it too, so I guess it comes from that too. But it actually did not come with a figure. So it is cool that they bundled a figure with this one. And obviously, this is the Tele-Viper here, but this is the Python Patrol version. And unlike the Trouble Bubble, the Tele-Viper actually did have a Python Patrol version. So this is a pretty cool update to that figure. And the Python Patrol Tele-Viper was from 1989. Let's check out the box real quick and then open it up and check it out. My first ever Trouble Bubble. So obviously you got the renders here, you got the artwork there, a lot of the Tele-Viper accessories right there. It does have multiple heads. First side is 98 in the series. Second side, a bigger version of the art. Third side, you obviously have the digital renders right here. You do have some detailed shots up there, just like the normal G.I. Joe classified packaging, right? And the tiny little icons here, communications, telecommunications, electrical engineering, and cryptography. So, that speaks to the Tele-Viper for sure. But now, let's get this puppy open. Right, Mr. Tele-Viper out, and it looks pretty cool. I definitely like the stylings of this. The big difference between this and the original Python Patrol figure, there's a few differences here. And one of the differences, the original did have a vest, but the vest on the original actually had this the scale-ish pattern on it. So they omitted that for this one, but he did have, the yellow shirt, the gray vest, and the scale patterned pants, the red belt here. So everything looks really good. The big difference is the arms. The arms on the first Tele-Viper were actually skin. There was no sleeve here, but I understand why they did it for this, is because one of the things I've commended Classified for doing is they're making it sort of multicultural, multiracial, more inclusive, and even with the Cobra, the enemy, and that's awesome. So you have, just a plain white dude like me, and then you have, person of color, African American possibly over here, and so obviously if the arms were, skin tone, they wouldn't be able to do this because it's just a head swap. So that's awesome. So that's why the black sleeves here were necessary, because if they wanted to do, fully changeable sort of races, they would obviously have to do like different arms too. So it was a good choice to cover this up. So all you have to do is swap the head. So you can go, whichever way you want with a different head. And it's actually, if you look at it, it is a slightly different sculpt. So it's not just a paint job difference. If you look at the nose, look at the nose, and the profile view is a little different, and the mouth is a little different too. It's sort of snarled on the right hand side here and the left hand side here. So, it's definitely pretty cool, and it's a welcome addition to the line. More lines should probably do stuff like that. But having said that, everything else looks pretty awesome with this figure. There's a little bit of a mismatch in the color matching here. The yellow paint right here on these. Obviously, this is probably black plastic underneath here, so they had to paint this. It definitely does not match the yellow of the shoulder. I hope it shows up on camera. I can't tell looking through my camera, but maybe it'll show up on camera. I don't know. I can tell it. I can see it in real life, but it definitely looks good. There's probably a lot of reuse here underneath there, but I have so many GI Joes now. It's actually pretty hard to tell reuse at this point. But I do, like the Python Patrol color scheme on this character. I think it could use a little bit more red. I do like the red visor especially too. The purple Tele-Viper. This is a complete repaint. Complete reuse from that figure, obviously. There's no difference between that other than the paint job. But the original did have, the silver visor. And in the cartoon, you couldn't tell this in the comic book, but in the cartoon, it was super unique because the Tele-Vipers would never talk. Like their words would flash on their visors. It's a kind of weird little gimmick, but it was kind of cool. And so I never saw a Python Patrol Tele-Viper in the show, so I don't know if they have the words like oh no, G.I. Joe, go, I got to use the restroom on their visor. So who knows, but I guess. But I do like the stylings here. The sculpt work is good. The articulation is typical G.I. Joe articulation. Again, if you're new here, I don't go through it every video because I would just sound like a broken record. It seems non-necessary to me. So he's got, the double elbows, double knees, butterfly joints, ab crunches in there under the vest, so you can get a little bit of ab motion there under the vest. Hip swivel. There is a swivel at the boot too down here, which is pretty good. And for someone who doesn't collect repaints, I've said this before, I'm not a completionist collector. I want to collect what I want to collect. I suddenly have a bunch of different Python Patrol figures, so I guess maybe I'm going all in on the Python Patrol. I don't know. Tiger Force, I'm definitely not all in. I only have a few of the Tiger Force. But my main shopping place for G.I. Joe Classifieds is Target, right? So a lot of these are Target exclusives, like Night Force, I believe is Walmart exclusive. Python Patrol and Tiger Force, I believe, if I'm not wrong, are Target exclusive. Just the way it goes. Moving to accessories, he does come with another head, which I really like this head. Look at the sculpt work on it. It's very nice. It's got, the regular head has a plain back, so this one's got a much more complex back to it, and then the front too. The front's got this visor on it, like this protection. It almost looks like a sort of, a cyborg or something, but I'm sure there's a human in there. It's not like a bat, but I definitely like the look with this on the head. It definitely looks, very futuristic, very, the Tele-Vipers, they're all about communication. They're about, technology and stuff like that, which goes good with, I actually have Techno-Viper. Techno-Viper just came out, which I will be doing an opening of pretty soon. But I definitely dig this head. I like the paint accents here. I think I might display them with this helmet, but we'll see. There's nothing wrong with this base head. And continuing the accessories, he does come with a backpack. And again, this is the same stuff as the purple Tele-Viper, so I won't compare it to that. I'm going to compare it to the original figure. And this backpack is definitely a homage to the original figure. It looks almost exactly like the original figure. It's got this, telecommunications, antenna right there. And it's, got all the notes the original backpack had. There's definitely a lot of tech here and a lot of good sculpting details, which I hope show up very well. It does have this little peg down at the bottom, and that's for the hose. So the original figure did have a hose that went to his, telecommunications gun. I don't think if I remember correctly, it wasn't like a pow gun. It's like a communication device or something like that. And then there it is right there. So again, this is almost just like the original gun that he came with, which again, I think is a communications device. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below, but I don't remember them like shooting this. I remember them using this to like communicate, like shoot like, a radio signal or something like that. But maybe I could be remembering completely wrong. Please let me know. But the sculpt details are good here. No paint accents though. I wish it had some paint accents on here, but it's a homage to the original gun again right there. And it does have, like I said, it does come with this hose right here. So it does have a bendable hose, just like the original figure. Right there, it's that red Python Patrol color, which goes into the backpack and into the gun, just like that. So again, this is just like the original figure had this. Came with the backpack, the gun, and the hose, and then that's it. That's all the accessories the original one came with. All right, and that's him with his backpack on. It looks pretty good. I definitely, I like how it's black, and he doesn't have much black on his body except for his sleeves. So, the black with the red hose gives it a really, really sharp look to it. So I actually, this is probably one of my favorite Python Patrol color versions. I've been not so hot on some of them, like the Bat and a couple of the other ones, but this one looks really good. Backpack does have a peg on it right there, so I think you can hang the gun if you want to on his backpack. It doesn't go straight though. It looks kind of goofy. The hose sort of makes it, point out like at an angle right there, which looks kind of goofy to me. So I think I'll have it in his hands. But I forgot to mention when I looked at the body, the coolest details on this, like this wrist strap right here, is a really cool design right there on it. With G.I. Joe is getting really good at doing tattoos and super fine sort of, details on things. And that wrist right there is no exception. This wrist has a little watch on it, but then he's got, the Python Patrol logo right there on his shoulder too, which looks really good. And again, they're getting really good at doing that for sure. All right, and that's him with his, gun in his hand, gun, quote unquote. But it looks pretty good. Like, I definitely like how they did the hose red. If the hose was just black, it would definitely look a little worse for sure. I like his stylings. The sculpt work is good. I liked, the different head options he has. That's all his accessories though. Like, that's it. But obviously, for the set, you're getting it for Tele-Viper, but you're mainly getting it for the Trouble Bubble. So let's talk about the Trouble Bubble next. But Tele-Viper himself, I definitely would much rather have the classic purple version, but this is what I got, and I am happy with this. All right, one more note about him too. If you put the gun like this, it definitely looks a little bit cooler. I've seen a picture online of the gun sort of like this, so this is probably the way it's intended. Still, it's way crooked, and I don't like that. Visually, I don't like it, but it is what it is. So he can hold it like that. You do see the hose up front, which I think maybe looks a little bit cooler. It does stay on there pretty firm. All right, Trouble Bubble. So this is the Trouble Bubble. Let's get it assembled first, all the pieces on here, and then we'll talk about it. So obviously this hunk of plastic is going to go on the back. Yes, the Trouble Bubble has backpack holes. Hopefully they stay in more than, the figure. It does have a big old honking gun here with a hole right there on the front for a ball peg. And if you look at the sort of control panel right here, you can pop that in the bottom. And now, get in there. All right, it's in there. So now you have a gun, right? So obviously you bend this down to get the figure in there. And there's these straps right here, which actually look really good. It looks like it just disassembles at this middle part here. There's just a peg right there. So you put your figure in, put his seatbelt on, because obviously, you know, Cobra has to obey seatbelt safety laws, okay? They're not that much of a terrorist organization.
Morons! I have morons on my payroll!
And there's a lot of good details in the cockpit too. There's some stickers on there, some decals that give it a little, you know, the control panel look to it. Obviously, this is the Python Patrol colors, so it's mostly that maroon red color. It's got the black, it's got the yellow, it's got some silver scales on the side right here. The canopy, instead of just clear, it's actually like a black sort of, you know, shaded look to it, and it's got a red, you know, red paint trim down there, which looks pretty good. It does show up on the camera. It's got this scuff on it. Like this is a literally, I can feel it with my finger. It's definitely a scrape of some sort right out of a box. This was brand new. So obviously a defect like that shouldn't happen, but it happened. And this sticker looks a little off-center to me. If you look at it, it's a little to the left. If I put it right in the center, you can definitely tell it's off-center a little bit. And again, that's kind of annoying for someone like me who's a little OCD with the, you know, crooked pictures and stuff like that. That's gonna annoy me a little bit, but what can I do? I don't know. And the last thing to go on the sides is the missiles. And I believe these go in first. So this holds the missiles, just like it's almost like the old G.I. Joe missiles and stuff. They had that sort of figure 8 thing right there. So you hook that in first, and then you can hook the missile on. And I love that just because it reminds me of the old G.I. Joe figures. They had that sort of figure 8, you know, missile thing. The missiles are that bright yellow color, the Python Patrol color. So overall, the color scheme on this, I do really like this. Again, I would have rather had the original version, but I am glad to have this, and I actually do like this overall now that it's out of the package. And there is another accessory for this thing, but I can't figure out how to put it on here. I don't see any place to put it on here. But there's like a mine right here, like an air mine or something like that. And it, you know, it looks pretty good. The details on it are great. It's got a nice, you know, caution sticker right there. And it actually opens up, which is a little, I don't know, a little odd, I guess. But I guess, you know, I've seen pictures of him, you know, planting this on the ground or whatever. But it's still, I don't know. The details inside look really good. So it's a nice little touch that it opens up. But I don't know how, you know, often that's going to be useful. And just pops right back on. But as far as I can tell, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below. Again, I can't figure out anywhere to put this on the vehicle. That seems like a weird omission to me. You have this thing. You obviously have what looks like a mine. Can you not drop the mine or something? I don't know. I don't know. I can't figure out where to put it on here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. Let me know below. One cool touch to this that I actually just noticed. I didn't notice it before. So it's that Cobra eye right there. Look at that. Or like, not a Cobra. It's a Python. So the Python eye right there. That is really cool. It's a really cool touch right there. Since that is a ball joint right there, you could actually move the gun around. And I believe these fins at the bottom also will double as a stand. So you can just stand it up, you know, on the shelf. So it's a good display piece. It's not too big, doesn't take up too much space. And I really like the details on here. You know, I like the paint job, and I think having a trouble bubble is awesome. It's got a little targeting computer right there. And now let's get Mr. Tele-Viper in here and actually see what it looks like with him. Open up there, spread his legs out a little bit. All right, seatbelt on, obey the law. All right, and there you go. He's in there. The canopy actually goes... The canopy doesn't stay on very well, by the way. It's like it's misaligned just a little bit. But, you know, he's got some controls here. You can put his hand on the controls. I'll probably do that for the pictures, but maybe not right now. Oh, this does move a little bit too, so you can move this in different directions if you need to. And it looks really good. It definitely fits the aesthetic of the original Trouble Bubble for sure. I do think the canopy's a little low, especially with this color. With the original one, the non-Python Patrol one, this is clear so you can see the driver's face. This one is so dark you actually can't see his face, and to me it looks kind of odd like that. Like, even if it's sort of straight on, it covers up
his face. So you can't see his face, where in the original, it's obviously clear, so you can see the face. So that is a difference between the Python Patrol version and this version. I think aesthetically, it looks pretty awesome. All right, so that is Tele-Viper in Trouble Bubble. A quick peek. And I do really like them. I'm not so hot on some of the Python Patrol stuff coming out nowadays, especially the original stuff. The original stuff, I think they could do a better job with the color schemes a little bit. That's been my comment before. But I do really like these. So I'm going to take a few pictures and come back with some final thoughts. All right, that's a quick look at the Python Patrol Tele-Viper and Trouble Bubble or Cobra Flight Pod Python Patrol version. It is definitely worth the price. I got this on sale, $24.99, and I'm definitely pleased for it for that price for sure. I love all classified vehicles. I wish I could get the bigger vehicles, but I haven't gotten any of the bigger ones yet. The Cobra Hiss or the Vamp or anything. But this is pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome addition to the Python Patrol line, although I do like the original a little bit more. But it's amazing to have a classic signature Cobra vehicle like this and a signature, Tele-Viper too. It's a win-win all around. Another awesome addition to the classified line for sure. I'm definitely happy I got it. So guys, gals, non-binary pals, thanks for tuning in for more G.I. Joe videos. This is the main line that I'm collecting at this time. So my channel's almost turned into completely G.I. Joe at this point, but Figurama will keep going little by little. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate any subscriptions I get and all that jazz. So thank you, and peace.